Fellow media colleagues,
So keep following.
radio listeners, television viewers, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who are following us, those in the rural area also joining us via the community radio stations. I'd like to welcome you to the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism in the Republic of Press Hall for our today's press briefing. I'd like to say happy belated National. On behalf of the Reporters Association here, we agree to extend our sympathy for the loss of the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, sister. Minister Piah, we stand with you. We feel the pain of you. The kind of other person who happened to be her soul and the souls of all those who departed this life. Rest in perfect peace. At this juncture, I'd like to invite the Deputy Spokesperson of the government, Honorable Daniel Sandro, who will make a brief remarks, after which the Chief Administrator and the member has the single authority to speak for the entire government, Honorable Jerolinmek Piah, to mount the podium. Mr. Sandro.
So that was the voice of the acting assistant minister for information services and his current director of operations and public affairs at MICAT. Next is Honorable Daniel Odesando, the minister for press and public affairs.
To all of you, it's been a pleasure to be here in a historic chat with your conference room here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. We want to extend thanks and appreciation to the Folk Estate for the very, very valuable contribution we continue to make in helping the Ministry of Information to reach your various audiences. Speaking on behalf of the government is one thing, but how many persons listening, how many persons follow what you say is very important. And as I've always indicated, the senior management team is very grateful to the team of reporters that we have covering the Ministry of Information here. Thank you also, you were on the airport last Saturday to receive His Excellency President Waka and his entourage on the return from Japan. It's all part of the work that we jointly do to complement each other. So I say thanks to all of you for the sacrifices you continue in helping us to do our work. That being said, today is a very important day. When you listen to the radio stations, you read the various newspapers, some of the stories are far from the truth. Some demand immediate response from the government. And you want to know what the government thinks, what the government says, about what in the press, what comes from those in the, I don't want to say opposition, those on the other side of the political divide. You want to know what the government says. And the place where the government speaks from is no other place but the Ministry of Information. So that is why we have continuously placed importance to the consistency of the MICAT regular press briefing, because this is where the Liberian government speaks. This is where positions of the government are defined. This is where, maybe in some nominal cases, this is where the government responds to certain issues, because we do not want to just base our work on responding. A lot is happening for the government, As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why we decided to make Jerolinmek Piah to the microphone.
That was the voice of Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs, Honorable Odesano. This is Honorable Jerolinmek Piah, Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. Keep following. So we're just showing you, like to say welcome. This is TV Liberia Live, and I'm broadcasting to you live at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. Keep following.
It's good to be back in the Transmedia Hall, a familiar place where we endeavor to provide information to the public on matters concerning the state. One of them was the Sando who was in charge of the press conferences while we were out. And also then Mr. Tapa, who was the acting minister. As all of you are aware, the president was in Japan. And I was also there with him. It was a difficult journey to undertake, personally from my end. That is because even though my sister had fallen off on the Friday before the Saturday that we left, it didn't appear that it was something that would have cost her life. And by the evening hours, 10 o'clock or so, she was there, but I wasn't told. So we boarded a escort flight early morning. And while the plane was trying to taxi along the runway, still had my phone on, I received a call, so the plane couldn't start to put somebody down. So we had to go. And managing between what was happening there and what needed to happen back here behind me, since there was a death situation. But it was a good journey. We followed all the debates on the ground. The question that we raised, the delegation size, and all the other attending issues, which are very normal. We normally receive them with open arms because that's how society gets better. We are not going to reach the point where people who try to be critical about what we do, where we refer to them as enemies of the state. Those are some of the excesses of the past that must be corrected. So whether we agree with what people say or not, we respect those views, we do internal reflection, but we're not get to the point of thinking that they are enemies of the state because they are raised in question. So all the big countries around the world have a realization that Africa is a very important continent. That is true. Maybe we are even the richest continent in terms of the resources that will be invested by God. And it is in the interest of the rest of the world to find ways to work with us as a continent. So if you go to China, they got what they call FOCA, which is their major meeting that brings together leaders of the African continent and the Chinese government. We've had the U.S. African Leaders Summit, which has been occurring. And then you have TICAT, which is the Tokyo International Conference on African Development. TICAT is a little bit one step ahead, but they do so with co-conveners. So the World Bank, the United Nations, and the African Union Commission are all co-conveners along with the Japanese government. So it has a spirit of deeper multilateralism. It's not just seeking country to country bilateral friendship. So it's a serious summit. At that summit, Japan announced that they would take action to address the high debt premium of borrowing countries, especially in Africa. Because the interest rates are high and they accept that. The action will include, but not limited to, capacity building to enable Japan to engage effectively with actors in the financial market, including credit rating agencies. Japan has also welcomed the establishment of the African Credit Rating Agency. They are looking forward to the full operationalization of the agency. They intend to also end hunger and eliminate food insecurity of all forms, especially the problem of malnutrition. The country reaffirmed its commitment to transforming Africa agro-food system in line with its 2025 Kampala Declaration, the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, and the Action Plan 2026 to 2025 aim for sustainable and resilient food system for a healthy and prosperous Africa. Realizing that there's a decline in global overseas development assistance to Africa's health system, Japan reaffirmed support for the Africa CDC and the Africa Health Financing Program in the new era of strategy to promote private sector and impact investment of both domestic and sustainable health financing. The country remains committed to addressing major diseases, including communicable and non-communicable diseases, as well as improving reproductive, maternal, neonatal, and child health, and strengthening the Japan-Africa Health Partnership. They underscored the importance of promoting international knowledge exchange, science and technology, diplomacy, engineering, technical and vocational education, and academic collaboration in research and innovation, especially targeting support towards socially vulnerable groups. They affirm their commitment to helping Africa achieve those goals. They also reaffirm their support for full African representation in the UN Security Council, not on a non-permanent basis, but on a permanent basis. The country says it's determined to cooperate to achieve reforms at the Security Council. And Japan and African states will continue to communicate and cooperate closely at the United Nations in the areas of peace building, among others. They emphasize the importance of promoting regional and international efforts related to maritime security, including the fight against illegal exploitation of natural marine resources, piracy and armed robbery, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, and other maritime crimes. Maintaining a maritime order based on international law, in particular the United Nations Convention on Law and Sea. They reaffirm their determination to work with the African countries to combat illegal fishing, which undermines not only maritime security but also sustainable development and the stability of local economies. They will convene TICAT 10 on the African continent, preferably in Angola. Let's come down to Liberia's own engagement beyond the overall TICAT summit. So when you go to such a meeting, the summit is there. It's plenary, people go there, they open it. They have some different sections, then after a couple of days they close. But what else do you do while there? So a couple of government officials, went ministers, and they generated criticism. The different sector ministers that were there, but because beyond the plenary of TICAT, each of them had arranged different engagements that would impact their sector, whether it's health, education, agriculture, you name it, for the rest of it, that was their commerce. In fact, TICAT was both trade and commerce sector, zooming in on e-commerce. So each of the officials that there has specific things to do with specific engagements, in addition to just maybe joining the president in the plenary and other stuff. So what did we do before going? The government had a sectorial working group that had a series of meetings. And then were broken down into different thematic areas. Each of the thematic areas developed a strategic engagement documentation. Then we put all together to form a technical paper that captured everything we wanted. Infrastructure development, roads and public building, etc., energy. In the health sector, we want a pediatric hospital. If you don't know what a pediatric hospital is, a specialized hospital for children only. We wanted to have support in education that will go beyond infrastructure, but includes scholarship opportunities for many of the young people who may not have a job to do now, but they want to learn. Good enough, we keep our bilateral arrangement with different countries on scholarship. A good number of students have been going to China and other places. Normally, they are a system that comes with low cost. The students who are qualified to go do not pay school fee. We achieve the same thing with Japan based on our engagement. So we use that document that was prepared to be the basis of our engagement while we're in Japan. The document was presented at two separate forums. One, directly to the government through our bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister, because there was a bilateral meeting. Two, Japan has its own development agency like the Americans who have used it. It's called JACA. JACA's footprints are already in Liberia. If some of you don't know, but I guess most of you know since you're all here. When you're driving from Freeport to Raleigh, the road we now refer to as the Japan Freeway is an intervention from JACA. That's their handwork. If you go to the JFK, they have a complete annex called the Motility Center. You all know that. It was built through support from JACA. So we have their footprints here already, which has established the fact that they can do things here. Prior to going, through JACA's intervention, of course, we This September, we're going to start the construction of the road from Johnson Street to Freeport. In that technical report we presented, we made a special request for that project, which is to add an overpass. The same thing we are about to do beginning September from the ministerial complex to SKD Boulevard. So we're seeking an amendment to that project so that we have an overpass, because there's a traffic situation along that Gibraltar Bridge. And the plan has deep programming I want to do in agriculture. Like I said, in here we want to have a maternity hospital. And then we want to improve facilities at the GFK. When you saw us visiting the biggest and most effective private sector hospital in Japan, that was the reason. Because that hospital had already been engaged with Liberia. They established the dialysis center at the GFK. By the way, dialysis is a process where people who got kidney problem, and until they can have the opportunity to have a transplant, they keep processing their kidneys so that they keep surviving until you find a doctor who can provide them a match kidney to have a transplant. So they opened a dialysis center there at the GFK in 2022 with 10 dialysis machines. It was surprising to know that most of the machines are not being operational because maintenance was a problem. So there, during our engagement, was not just to talk about additional dialysis machine, but to have a technical arrangement where people come here. Then you can take one man, you go there, they train you, like you alone. If the trainers come here, they can train up to 50 persons. So that we can have more skilled people who will not cater to those machines. Because kidney situation in the country, people with kidney diseases are growing. So that was the essence of going to that place. In addition to the fact that we're asking for the building of the pediatric hospital. Thankfully, the Japanese are very knowledgeable that we have a national development plan, which is their arrest agenda. And they committed to us that they will tailor all their intervention in Liberia consistent with the arrest agenda, which is key for us. Because you can have a national development plan that is not matching the people we want to help. So it becomes very difficult. So that commitment alone, don't forget, our development plan is very costly, 8.something billion. And we have projected that 70% of that cost should come from our global partners. We've been contributing already 30%. Japan is the second most important donor to all of the international system, whether it's the UN. Any organization you think about, the Americans come first. I don't know whether that will still be the case, but the Americans are all being first, and they are being followed by Japan. So when you have a relationship with the Japanese, you're sailing on better grounds. So they will expand their investment in Liberia in the area of roads, energy, and agriculture. We have technical cooperation in the area of education, trade, and institutional reform. And then we have health sector support, including partnership from the hospital I just mentioned, to Kushuka. We have an urban development arrangement with the city of Yokohama. The president met with the mayor, and we saw the naysayer going around saying, "Oh, president will be mayor." Mayor in the developed world is not a mayor you know. These are people who control huge budgets. So say the mayor of the city of Yokohama comes and say they want to partner with the city of Monrovia. They can do intervention that even the government don't have money to do it. Our whole country budget is 800 million. They can still around them. Go on your different platform and just Google to know what's the budget for the city of Yokohama. Then you will change your thought about, oh, why the president meeting a mayor? And this is part of the problem we have as a country. We get anything. For some of us, we're big-hearted. When we make president, you'll not be any mayor. So if you sort of get, let's say, 300 million for a city, that's supposed to partner with you to do something, you know what you say you want to rep because it's coming from just a city of a mayor. That man said it's not for a country that wants to make progress. So yes.
4.5 billion.
Alright. I just want you to check your test so I can say something to you. That's just a city. Whose mayor support complain why we met with them? You know how many of your country budget that I know can come from India budget as me? So Japan has done a lot of things that we're going to track and establish, like I said from the beginning, in our engagement. The freeway, the full aid. The other day you saw some people being arrested by the asset recovery team. It was in connection to over 600 metric tons of rice provided us by Japan. Health equipment for the hospital, like I said. That happened before, we will do more. We recognize that they supported us during Ebola, they helped to fight Ebola. They've committed to supporting education, particularly vocational training. They will help with health and sanitation program. With our big problem with sanitation, we all know that. So in the end, at the end of the meeting, in addition to all the different things we did, there was a declaration. I just wanted to give you a picture of what comes from the declaration and how Liberia can benefit. So the very key financing commitment at the end of TICA. And the key to that is they're going to invest in the African continent the amount of 13 billion plus. It's broken down into different segments. 5.5 billion will be for loans, so the African country can tap into those loans and do their development project. And because it's targeting African countries, the loan will be channeled through the African Development Bank. The African Development Bank has been financing a lot of programs here, so loan going through there is really good for us. The whole corridor you see coming from the southeast, the road being paid from Maryland coming towards Grand Gila and other places, the one that is being paid from Lima going towards Grand Gila as well, they are all being financed through loan from the African Development Bank. So 5.5 billion will be available for loan through the African Development Bank. $1.5 billion will be used for investment. How does that work? You will encourage companies from the country that seem to challenge it. You encourage developing countries to focus on investing in Africa. But to do so, beside their own money they will have a source of funding to enhance their investment. And that source of money that will be available by the Japanese government is 1.5 billion. And it will be done through JACA, the very group we met with. They will deal with transformative projects in sectors such as infrastructure, our roads, healthcare. So it is from this that we intend to tap on the money we need to build a pediatric hospital for children. For the Enhanced Private Sector Assistance to Africa program, they will earmark 5.5 billion, another 5.5 billion. To Gavi. Gavi is the forerunner for all vaccination programs in the world. And they will make available 550 million to Gavi, which is a vaccine alliance. Over the next 5 years, 2026 to 2030, the 550 million will be provided to Gavi for immunization in Africa, strengthening access to vaccination, and improving health quality. They will spend 155 million via Africa TICA as bonds. They will be aimed at strengthening financial development initiatives with social and sustainable objectives. The channel of the commitment, in summary, total amount, like I mentioned, 13.205 billion. The summary of how it will be channeled, loan, will be through the African Development Bank. The Sustainable Development Fund will be through JACA. The Private Sector and Development Project will be through, just named them, sorry, the Enhanced Private Sector Assistance Program for Africa Group. And then the Private Sector Development Support will come through Gavi contribution, and the immunization and health quality money will come through the Africa TICA bonds. Development project aligned with Sustainable Development Goals, because that's the basis for all development projects around the world. And like I said, the overall envelope from TICA 9 is 13.205 billion. What is the implication for Liberia in all the what we say? They got no importance to us if we don't apply it to Liberia. Like the President emphasized, Liberia's priority at TICA is to enhance access to concessional financing, where the funding will be used on agricultural transformation, infrastructural development, roads, etc., energy, digital capacity development, jobs for the young people and women, a resilient energy system. So our country stands poised to benefit across multiple sectors through both bilateral, country to country, Japan, Liberia, and multilateral, getting it from the entire package, which is co-sponsored by the World Bank, the United Nations, and the African Union. I hope that summarizes how important the TICA really was. We can still have additional conversation around it if there are people who have doubts, but you don't go for those meetings to dance. In the first place, to travel to a place like Japan is exhausting. It's really exhausting. When we came back, I couldn't leave my house. Maybe added to the fact that I'm bereaved, but I was physically exhausted. So you're sitting in an aeroplane, hanging in the sky for hours, 13 hours, 12 hours, an engine carrying. So you can follow. Yes. I mean, you are not driving your own car, you can't get rid of. So when you're there, you're not on pleasure. And of late, I don't know what's happening. The sky is hostile. So if you're not brave, you can travel. because you're not traveling in comfort. I guess there are some of you people here who went for the challenge. Let me see your hand. Nobody here? Oh, okay. Maybe they could share their experience with you. And they will tell you whether they can be driving like a street paper going in the sky, or if it's carrying them upstairs every night, they got to be holding the sea of the plane level. So when people make those journeys, they're not doing it for any other stuff. And you see all the people who criticize the French people talking about Padan this. Have you seen the Padan that they gave people to go on a trip? That's the money making. You go there because you have a piece of job to do. Again, the society is democratic. They will respect those criticisms. And we'll always look in them and see whether there are things we can learn from the criticism, there are things we can pick up, and whether there are corrective measures we can take as a result of the concern, because we represent you. We are fortunate to be the one governing a country that belongs to all of us. So your voices matter, and we'll not get angry because you criticize us. We'll not call you enemies of the state. As we approach a period not far from jumping into the dry season, our different sectors are giving us assurances of enhanced work on all corridors. Just before coming for this press conference, I had a conversation with the Minister of Public Works, for example. They are still on course with having the groundbreaking for the overpass bridge, to break ground from the road that leads from Clay straight to Bull Waterside, 4-lane. We'll continue to advance on the Roberts Road. We'll see more acceleration of work on the Rubberfee Highway because we want to see that work concluded. The lanes are city to all visitors coming in. When you come, you go way to RIA. Then from there you got to drive to town. That corridor is important. Much work was taking place until the rain got heavy. To take advantage of the slowness of the rain to fast track the work there. In the end, it will be a road that we'll all be proud of. We have funding for the Lofa Road. We have funding for Basso to Sestor. We have funding for the Southeastern corridor that is still ongoing. And because we have funding for multiple corridors, in the words of the Foreign World Minister of that world, he said there will be an autopause kind of infrastructure program as we approach the dry season. We would have chosen, or I would have chosen not to make a comment at all about what took place with the evasion, but I will have to say something because there are so much falsehood that we sprayed up. How many of you know about the Nima United Community? I'm asking you, the press people. Our community is in the Fendel area. How many homes have been monitored? I guess when you go when they call it. Cali Junction community. How many homes have been monitored? The other day in the battery factory area on the Canaville Road. So we've been children crying, they took their mattress and they put it on the road. Because their homes were broken down. All the instances I gave you were a result of people contending on the properties on which their homes were. And when people contend, they got only one way to resolve the contention: the court. I live on a piece of place right now in my house. Somebody will come and say, "This place you build your house is for me." The only way that person and I will resolve that problem is to go to court. If the court says they've established that the place is for me, my house remains. If the court says the place is not for me, two things will happen. I will have a conversation with the person who has been established to be the owner, so that I can pay the difference because I have my house there to remain there, or the court will order an eviction. If the court does so, I have to just take whatever I have in the house and move. If I don't, and the operationalize the eviction, the main things that I got in the house will be thrown out. It will not be the government that is doing anything to me. In the Nima community store, it was not the government doing anything to anybody. The Cali Junction was not the government doing anything to anybody. Battery factory was not the government doing anything to anybody. People had dispute, they went to court, the court took action, eviction was ordered, and when eviction is ordered, the one who takes the documentation to the place is the sheriff from the court. But the civil procedure law, I think chapter 44.7 or so, says when you have those situations, then the state will provide protection for the process. So when they want to do eviction, you see police. But it is not the police that are going to do anything there. That's why you see them, they just standing by. The owner of the property will find the instrument for the demolition or for the eviction. So in the case of what happened at our friend's headquarters, Mr. Stubberfield made his arrangement with the bulldozer. The bulldozer takes instruction from the property owner. Everything you see them moving to that, they breaking down, that what the property owner say, I don't want to see on my land. If that property owner have said, I love the fact that things are now on my land, I will inherit them, I don't want it to be broken down, nothing is going to be broken down there. So for us to see comments coming from the leadership of that group at the highest level, blaming President Waka, blaming the government, how? Let some small reasoning prevail beyond politics. How is the government responsible for a matter that has been in the code of law for I don't know how long? In fact, at some point in this process, the man who served in the government that produced, in the government that that party produced, in Councillor Frank Musa Dean, was not Justice Minister then. He was the lawyer for the Victorious Party. He initiated everything that came to an end recently. But he was Justice Minister in that regime. Okay, so whatever he started, consistent with the law, he got nothing to do with it, right? That Waka, that the current government. What is the reasoning? Even ordinary people in the different places, they know what can lead to evasion. Most political parties make these mistakes, including even the Unity Party. They had power before. They didn't buy or build headquarters. They went to renting from the Macleans. Close up to the election, the Maclean people say, you owe all money or you do, they all want to. Some kind of dispute they have, they say, you gotta leave. They went to court. The party, knowing they didn't have standing and they could eventually be evicted, they easily packed their Satoka, go sit down Broad Street. In this case, you all know it's been a long-running battle. 1 minute, you know, you say, oh, the book gone back. But yes, here is a strange thing about it. The court was not adjudicating a matter with the CDC and the property owner. The court was handling a matter between different contending family members who were making claim to the property. So let me tell you what I would have done. Assuming the place that they read out if I were renting that thing. And then 4 or 3 groups in that family that are renting from making plan with that place, they're going to quote up and down, talking about invasion. I would say down there, that rent and paying on my property. Why are they making them know? I would say I'm going to be caught in this family feud, so I'm leaving. I will just find another place somewhere that will rent there. They play that for me. And that's the crux of the matter here. Everybody, including our friends from the city who agree that they don't own the property. So if they don't own it, and different actors were fighting over it, if I were them, I would have left long since I didn't corner in the fighting. But they have a choice to approach it the way they wanted to approach it. And it would not have been an issue for us to talk about if they're not turning around to say that the president did it, that the current government did it. So all the explanation I'm giving is to say the government, obviously that we all know, which is the truth, beyond the politics, had no part to play in a personal family dispute over property. Because it doesn't profit the government anything. And you go far saying, we are builders. And the Unity Party people are destroyers. When you do that one night, you expect to clap for you. Because we can begin to put the two groups on the pedestal. From the period they both had to serve. And see who was building and who was destroying. You are builders. According to you, and another who are destroyers. But in the whole 6 years, you're only building things for yourself. And you build nothing for the institution. When you arrive at the place you arrive now, all the Unity Party people did it because they are destroyers while we are builders. Why all these comments are even part of the conversation? I don't get it. Find the missing links. People build condominiums. People build Muslims. People build different things. You could have built a party here, could have as well. If you didn't do it, and people went to court on their property and they won the case and they say move from there, and you decide that you now move until they can't bring both those up, own it and start holding the government responsible. Government got nothing to do with what took place there. And if your insinuation of a government doing it is based on the presence of the police, that's what the law requires. When the treasurer of your party, Mr. Yuboti, won the case, and they were demolishing the land, the horses on that land, police were there. So at times, the police were welcome. So if it's the other way around, the presence of police now is interpreted as being the government is the one that making my place down. No. Absolutely no. So that my people were talking about, saying the UB left that place. It's still there. I don't think anybody has entered it. So if both those are going to break it down, that is our business. So let's not get a little bit serious. Let's own up to our excesses. They can be confusing. One minute you say party headquarters it's not just a physical building. It is in the heart. People carry it in their heart. But the mansions you live in, people don't carry them in their hearts. You build them physically. You could have built the headquarters also physically. Since that didn't happen, they ended up with demolition, cleaned it. During that process, as you all may have seen, 2 officers of the Liberia National Police were captured on camera committing acts inconsistent with the professional standards of the RMP. Stealing 101, the RD number 7010. He was employed January 1, 2025 from class 46. Edwin Caesar, RD number 6455. Also employed January 1, 2025 from class 46. They were all recruited in 2023. You know, you have to be recruited, you go for a training before you can agree. So they're not really want to recruit them. They were all recruited in 2023. So we thought to say this so you know that whatever you saw on live camera was not unattended to. The police have taken seize of that matter. And beyond what we said, we will refrain from releasing further details so as to protect the integrity of the investigation because they are being investigated. Updates will be provided as the process goes on and in accordance with the internal procedures and due process in the LNP. You see what we've been into here? Yeah, we've been here and put in trouble. We are shooting our last men for here, so we got So we stop here. Ordinarily, I would not have addressed the press conference today, but I thought I needed to talk about it since Daniel was not in Japan. I was there, and I should have been able to communicate to you while in there. These are rough times. We put that matter to rest this week. I will bury my sister this weekend on Saturday. On Thursday, we'll have Jerolinmek Piah hour at St. Joseph from 6 to 7. On Friday, we remove the remains at 2 p.m. and go to MICAT. So that's all we have. Thank you for your attention.
So that was the voice of Honorable Jerolinmek Piah, Minister of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism. So this is questions and answers by journalists.
Liberia. The government of Liberia earlier announced that late August of freedom of entry policy to come to the country in late August. And if we were to divide a month, the day of August will be around the 16th. And today, the 26th up to now, Liberians are concerned on the status of the buses. And also the agricultural minister announced the consignment of over 300 agricultural equipment this August. What's the status of those different agricultural equipment? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Samuel Johnson and I vote for Terrier on the television and website. I said Terrier online television and website. Recently, the LDS talented director for Britain.
Well, let me start your small for your country. All the things I get to you, you get question about it. Because you see the missing one of the big directors. No, come back to what we told you. Well, also, to the bathroom for you, I say you did something, please don't be about it. And I'm legal problem you use for that.
Here is my name. Freelance. Minister Piah talks so much about information with a brief application. I took my microphone upstairs with my photographer to find out if I could scoop ministry work. The man comes up and says, according to Minister Piah, nobody do any filming here until the work is over. Somebody just pop up. Yes, right in the ministry upstairs on your side there. So we didn't bother. He said, yo, don't film. So I was very intelligent. I said, okay, we will not film. Next thing, we see a lot of work being done here, security-wise, for this building. I see a lot of unscrupulous behavior here. I hope you will check it out. Thank you.
So, my name is Joseph Salif, and I report for ABC Radio and TV. I welcome Mr. Minister, and I would say sorry for the loss. It is a hard thing, to be addressing the press while you bereaved. But Mr. Minister, many a times people criticize the president trip because when the president travels and he come back, previous trips we have been getting real updates. When the president travels to China, we hear about a refinery being built. We don't know the current updates. The hands-on agreement that was signed between Ivangno Group of Company up to now, we don't even know the current status. I don't know if you can update us on that one. When it comes to the demolition of the CDC headquarters, right? In a much, the president spoke and the president said the law is the law. But we saw the deputy director, like you said, we should carry our microphone doing, but he posted on a Facebook page that mission accomplished. And many people criticized him and thought that he was like the Liberian Tom Cruise, mission impossible. So with these statements coming in from the president saying the law is the law, and a deputy director at the state broadcaster that should be an independent body is posting on his official Facebook page and saying mission impossible. Don't you think it send a message to the public? He said mission accomplished, and no, mission accomplished, and somebody will say mission impossible, they're the same way. So, the question is, with these posts from public officials, don't you think it undermines the president's stance on what we call the law is the law? Because that's what the president said. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, or better say good afternoon, Mr. Minister, and to your members of the senior management, and my apology to you for the loss of your precious auntie. Sorry, Minister, but honestly, I'm going through a lot. Yeah. So my sympathy, and happy to see you. Welcome back in country. So my concern is, I personally did a research on the president's recent trip there in Japan, and I was made to believe there are several, bilateral discussions that went on. But I'm just curious to know, when
do Liberia stands to, benefit in real essence? All of these arrangements the president had, including even the visit with the mayor of the city of Tokihama. And a follow-up to that question is, before the president's departure to Japan, the executive mansion official Facebook page reported that the president was also to have attended the Expo 2025 in Osaka, Japan. And of course, the Expo is ongoing and the president is back in the country, of which Liberians are gearing to know as to what could be the sudden, cancellation in the president trip, that you have to come back to the country. And the last concern is, no, that was a different version of that. So, but in fact, the press secretary said no, the president was never meant to have attended the trip in Osaka, but the post on the executive mansion explained it in depth that the president. So this is also government communication minister, so I think it's important that since I cover here, I may have the time to ask my minister to better speak to the Liberian people concerned. And the last concern is,
I didn't get the first concern, I only got the second one.
no, I think I have one concern. In terms of the time, our president did a research, too many things the president discussed. When exactly in time essence do the country stand to benefit from these several engagements with the president had in Japan? And the second issue is why is the sudden abrupt in the cancellation of the president trip that he was meant to attend the Expo 2025? While the Expo is ongoing, the president is back in the country. What is the reason? And just a follow-up to that is, Mr. Minister, aside from the president's engagements with these people, are also the similar research, other countries' president that attended that program, they don't just only have several bilateral dialogue, but they were also confirmed signing of MOUs. Is our government in any way signed a particular MOU while in Japan? And let me wrap up by saying, this government, I must admit, to your administration, for over the last 20 years, this is a state-of-the-art ministry in terms of the refurbishment of this ministry. And if I cannot acknowledge your posture in terms of modernization as an independent press, I will not be doing justice to the profession, because we are truth tellers. So you are one of the ministers that not just developing lives or building men, but you are also transforming the infrastructure architect of the Ministry of Information. Thank you, and I encourage that you do more. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Minister. My name is Jackson Siafa, and I report for SEM TV. Bravo to you for the good work done in the ministry, and I say welcome back to the country. My sympathy I want to extend to you and the entire family for the loss of your loved ones. My question is about the most talk about moving equipment. Our people are very anxious, and as of July, we heard that before August ends, the machines were going to be in the country. Can you please throw a light to that? Thanks for the good job.
Thank you. Questions and concerns from different
So that's most questions from journalists by Fira Media Institution. This is answers by Honorable Jerolinmek Piah, Ministers of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism.
That's one thing. MOUs are not everything. Council already signed a MOU. So if you say there are countries that are going back with MOU, good luck to them. The MOU is just an expression of intent on something you want to do. And they don't represent agreements. And there's one second question.
I thought that when will the benefit be realized?
So you see, if you came to me in my office, and said, Minister Piah need help for first class there. He said, tell me the time you give it up. You want beg and you want food to come and give it up. So when you make your plea for people to help you, when you reach understanding, they will do it. So when I tell you I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it the after tomorrow. So if there's any assurance we can give you as a government, is the fact that in those closed doors, behind those walls, we've got real commitment that something will be done. And we have a history for that. When we had engagement in the past, for example, with China and other places, they said to us, we'll build a hospital. They didn't have to tell us when, but they built a hospital. Go to MICAT, Jackson Fiado Hospital. They said to us, we'll help you to rebuild your university. They built a new Fender hospital. Fender campus. They said to us, they would rebuild our vocational institute, the MVTC. They did. They told us they would give us a ministerial complex. We're using it now. They told us they would give us a new broadcast complex at LVS. We're dedicating our place in November. Almost finished. They told us they would give us a brand new reference laboratory at one of our hospitals. They chose 14 Military Hospital. That construction is almost nearing the end. So at times they told they would reformulate to some kind of those companies. They did. I'm giving you examples to say they didn't have the time to say we'll do it this day. But every commitment they made to us were executed. And since your question is about Japan, let's go to Japan. The President said he was in power, went to the MICAT. There we made a case that free people really that would get 2 lanes that was almost not necessary. We made a case there. They told us that we had. They changed that road from the 2 lanes that was not existing to 4 lanes. It's there, you see that. We needed to add a maternity center to the JFK. We asked them, they said they were going to do it a day. We asked them again that this road that leads from Johnson Street to Freeport is not okay. We want to rebuild it, we don't have the money. They promised that they were going to do it. In September, that construction starts. So if we look at this history, then we should not have any doubt that whatever they say they will do, they will do. That's the way I can answer that. If I always come in here, I think there's no big give it small thing. And you can give it away. I can't give it small thing, give it away. The day I can't say, okay, I'll give you something, should I doubt it when I know you're always doing it? The people can say that when the man can say, I will take it to the bank. I will get it from you. Because you have a history of delivering whatever I ask you. Our friends internationally, they have facilitated the fact that they can always give us positive response when we ask them. And you see, what more do you want if you came to the country and you talk to the man at the highest level? The Prime Minister runs the government in Japan. So besides presiding over a general TICA summit, he opted to give us a bilateral. In this case, you may have seen God's face. President was getting America the other day, face to face, Donald Trump. So when you have these leverages of meeting the people in charge at the highest level, and they get some commitment, you can be sure that they will do it. MTA buses. I have spoken to the supplier of those buses myself. They are procured. If they are not arriving in August, you're concerned by the time. If they don't arrive in August, they will still arrive. Because they are procured. You see, when you already procure something, it's impossible for you to not happen. So they will come. Yellow machines, I have said it over and over, and I will continue to reiterate. You will have the yellow machines. There was a whole mission to China, led by our able vice president. The fruit of that mission will be the delivery of the yellow machines. review, if you expected August and you're not here August. I'm not sure somebody said August because the last time I spoke here was, I said I couldn't give you any detail because if he became, he needed to make a formal report to the bossman. And when it crossed all those levels, then we have authorization to make public what the report contains and we do. So that's what I said. I'm not sure I or Daniel or anybody said on the platform that you have a yellow machine in August. Whatever it is, let me reassure you that yellow machines will come. What will be the benefit from TICA? Is it different? Was it in there's no question?
Yeah.
Somebody asked what will be the benefit?
Yeah, he asked.
So I just read to you a summary of the declaration. So the 13 billion that they are targeting for Africa, no TICA takes place every 3 to 4 years. So when TICA ends, they say between this time and the TICA is what we spend. So the 13 billion they talk about, that money is supposed to spend between now to the next TICA. And when I read the statement, I said, what does it mean for Liberia?
Implications.
And I said, in healthcare, in infrastructure, in education, we will benefit from those 13 billion. If we make more bridges, more roads, we'll make the case for that. But in addition to that, one of the things I said we have to pay much attention to, when we met JACA, and we made our proposal that covered another sector, the costing is between 75 to 100 million. That is different from that 1 billion stuff. That will be direct bilateral engagement. Once that thing we present to them is approved, the things we say we want to do there, they will roll them up far ahead of that. Each country may benefit from the total commitment of 13 billion. It's a different arrangement altogether. Social media post okay. So did anybody ask the default said mission accomplished? Did anybody asking or they just drew conclusion as usual? When I came to the Ministry of Information as a minister, before I could even talk to my team, I sat up by myself. And I asked myself some very hard questions. I said, I've been in the ministry before. I was Deputy Minister for Public Affairs. Then I was acting minister. And the first thing I said to myself, this is a ministry that government after government gets on for. Why do I want to be here? Then my other innovative man told me, say, oh, so you can be somewhere and do something only when the government does, so why the government doesn't do it? And then I remember being told at Harvard that the primary reason why anybody should get education is to get things done. So I go, oh, yeah, you learn the book. But then the teacher that we tell you, oh, you ain't nothing, you can't get anything done with it. When you go to school, you should be developed as a change agent. And the focus should be on getting things done. So I had to say to myself, I was in my course, I said, okay, this building has been like this since the war ended. So the government giving money, government giving money, it should be unprojected. Now you see the work going on, I can't one day ask them to put it, I say, mission accomplished. And somebody will interpret and say, oh, you have to go, the government coming to end and become mission accomplished. So this man went on a coverage mission. He was covering, he didn't go there to work abroad. You call the place, the activity ended. Who knows why the mission accomplished the thing I to cover, finish covering? But somebody go interpret that to say it means the government should have really pay that government and bring it down to mission accomplished. So let's start taking little things too serious. Because most importantly, the government of Liberia has a single spokesperson, a system and a deputy spokesperson. If you want to attribute something to the government, it must have either come from me or from Daniel Son. D-Flow, yes, working with government, does not speak for government, will not speak for government, is never authorized to speak for government, and therefore the things he said cannot be attributed to the government. So all of those who are running around with him, who say D-Flow said this, how many government did this, you know better, and you know it's not true. You know this man does not speak for government. But since everything is about politics, and we know the fact this thing was in court, court took their decision. The court brought the police to assist with the who were doing the evasion. And then you take this man, we try to convince him, they're not confirmed it either. Let's be fair to ourselves and our country. I'm a straightforward person, you say it right here. That's why I'm not giving you the complaint. I saw you, I told you the times. I said, that which you did, I consider unacceptable. He said, I'm sorry, G, but not asking you. So, humble man. You know, you making all the noise men on Facebook, you wrote that you say, I apologize. You may never feel like when the country when they were here. You also heard the beginning statement they apologize. You ever saw that before? Even if it's established that what they did was wrong. The two less money, you know they can do. So the man is there, the man walking to you, say, oh, I'll tell him a story. I just said the man died, the man coming, you say, he's there by the story. That's story. So let's start taking D-Flow name, make sure they're completely so serious. And try to gain power that he doesn't have. He doesn't speak for government. The only time you had that for me when they move me from the bring here, all the boats out, they put it there. Other than that, they say, what? They did that for new media. The man will be branding and doing new media. Can't speak for government. So you don't beat on the man for that. You don't beat on the government for that. Oh, that government doing their D-Flow says. Yes, sir. So for the record, I haven't told anybody not to do recording. It's open now. Because if I did, all the plenty team from the ministry, you know, where people are seeing news, were posting and they will not have posted it. I haven't stopped anybody. But the same time, it will be good when you promote a finished product. And you're not far from having a finished product. The folks have been doing great job, have been speaking all yes. The time we give them, as part of the sign of contract with them, where the jobs will be done in 3 months. We know they've been only a little bit over that period, but it will still be concluded. And then you can sell the product as a completed product. I mean, nothing wrong with you. Say, oh yeah, can they play to be a day? See the work. I always told my people, I hope they have an account for what we make here. Because they begin to start with the before and after, people don't appreciate why it was. So I'm not supposed to say, but I made it, we didn't even do it so much. They do nothing with it. Bathrooms here were downsized. I hope they have the pictures. entire roof start leaking. I hope they have the pictures. Multiple rotting doors all over the place. I hope they have this picture. A falling gate. Having those pictures will help tell the story properly about the before and the after. We don't take any personal glory in it, but we thought the building to be reformed because it is owned by the government. One of the few ministries that are blessed to have its own building, not renting. So the thing for you, maintain it. That's the least you can do. We look forward to our employees having more comfortable work environment because all 2 sections have been taken away. You all know the National Tourism Authority has been established. We're trying to operationalize it now. The president has named members of the board. We're about to do the vetting of the leadership team. That will include the Director General and 4 Deputy Director Generals. Once we finish with all of that and they start to operate, they will have to vacate our building because the employees in culture and tourism will at that point be employees of the National Tourism Authority. So as they leave, the space will be there and we can create a more better working environment for those who will remain with us as a ministry. To solve a lot of problems, the bus coming, or the buses. Instead of plenty of people filling with that bus, one can't even go with their group. The bus will be able to serve the few people that will be here. So it is. Thank you for being here.
So that's it for today's press briefing here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. So today MICAT press briefing was addressed by Jerolinmek Piah, Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. Minister Piah spoke on trending national issues affecting government. He spoke on the recent trip to Japan. So folks, for those that have been following, I'd like to say thanks for following. Do join us Thursday for another edition of MICAT press briefing. Until then, bye from my end.